Cooking your way through life.
Yo, every slip's a step we rise again.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Cooking Way Through Life with me, Chef Drake. And today we are doing salmon. Now I've lived in Alaska for about 4 months, and I've been to Alaska for about 10 seasons in the summer. I just say that to say that I've eaten salmon almost every kind of way, which is why I went from hating it to loving it again. Today, I'm going to take off the skin and we're going to do 2 salmon fillets seared, so pan-seared, and then do a nice little lemon dill butter sauce. So very simple, very clean, very effective, but a great way to use your salmon because it has so much natural flavor. All right, so let's get started. I'm using my fillet knife, and I just want to go right under the skin here, all the way down to the skin. Use the fillet knife because it does bend, so it's easy to do this. Then right when I get to that skin, I'm pushing my knife forward and then pulling the skin back. So I'm working both sides. Working. Get all the way to the end and complete. Now I have my salmon skin, and I'm actually going to use this for some stock. So I'm not going to throw it away. Now with my salmon, on the other side, you have this amazing color here that some of us do not like, but that's those omega-3s and fatty acids that you pay so much money for. So keep that. I'm just gonna slice this into 2 nice fillets. This way I can sear, and let's get them ready to go into the pan. All right, so our salmon is ready to go, but we do need to season it to get ready to go into the pan. Now, before we do that though, we need to make sure the pan is right. If you're new to the channel, that means you need to like, subscribe, and share. But if you're not new to the channel, then 2 weeks ago, we went over what to do when you're pan searing. The first thing is using the right fat. Today, I'm using clarified butter, also known as ghee, also known as drawn butter. And I'm using that because it is a high smoke point. I talked about that in one of the tips and tricks videos that I send out. So check that out. And then I'm also using the pan here that I'm gonna put it in. I just wanna put in the butter so that it can melt down for my salmon. Okay guys, while the butter is getting ready in the pan, I also put on my fish stock that I was talking about. So I used some tails from some shrimp that I already had. And then I just used the skin from the salmon. Just gonna make a quick little fish stock that I can use for something else later. But I'm going to use a paper towel. Same techniques we use for the steak. So I like to do things in repetition because I feel like learning sometimes is all about doing it over and over again and understanding why we do these things for every single protein. Different protein from steaks, but same exact process. I want to make sure I take off any of the moisture that I have so that when it goes into my pan with my clarified butter, it starts to sear and not steam. So I got the moisture off. Now I'm just going to use my seafood seasoning of choice. You can use your Old Bay. You can use your own personal blend. I use my personal blend that I make. Also like other brands like Danos, any other brand that you like. Now, one thing you do want to remember is to always flip it over and to season both sides. All right, seasoning. And now these babies are ready to go. I'm gonna put these into my pan, and then we're gonna get these searing and get everything ready for the sauce. Okay, so nothing new here, but that is our stock that we're starting. And we need to sear these pieces of salmon. So I'm going in presentation side down first. You wanna hear that sear. I wanna make sure my pan was hot, my clarified butter was hot. That sear is what we're looking for. This sound is your sound that you want to hear. And then you do nothing. Put your tones down. Do not continue flipping. Do not continue using your spatula. Nothing. Leave it alone. Okay, so before we get started on our sauce, I just want to show you the salmon is inside. And I am going to flip it over in just a second, but I'm also looking at how well cooked it is. I like my salmon to be medium at the most. I treat it just like steak, but it's up to you. If you do want it well done or a little bit more done, I recommend pan searing and then going to the oven, just like you would do any other steak. But in this case, for me, it's perfectly fine to do it on the stovetop because I really like it when it's that medium. I actually like a medium rare with it. And that's just my personal preference. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip those over, turn the heat off, let the residual heat finish cooking through. That way I can get ready to do my sauce. Perfect. Okay, so you got the first side searing, and now we need to flip it over and get that second side. I'm using my tongs, but you also keep your fish spatula just in case. But I got a nice sear on these. Looks amazing, smells even better. You can still hear the sizzling. That's what we want to hear. And now I'll put these down and do nothing again. Okay, so this one's just a quick little reminder that I'm using dill and I have stems left over. Do not throw these away. I said that I'm making this little fish stock that we have, so put them inside of there. Okay, so we need lemon and dill for a lemon and dill sauce. So I'm zesting first and then juicing second with this. I like to do this if I have a whole lemon, whole lime, whole orange, because I like the flavor of the zest, but we also need the juice itself. So very easy, using a little juicer here just to keep those lemon seeds out. Next, we need to get our dill together. So with this, I'm just doing a quick little rough chop. My knife is super sharp, but I'm just doing a nice little rough chop, keeping my knife on the cutting board. I want to use the back of that knife to get my dill off the cutting board for safety. And we're done. Fresh lemon, fresh dill, let's go. And go we will. So let's go ahead and make this sauce. You hear that noise? That is your dill popping because it has liquid, which is usually water, inside of the dill, and it's going to this hot pan. Now this is not something we typically do. I'm going to go more in depth in that in just a second, but I want to build this flavor on two different levels with this fresh dill. So fresh dill going on the top of the fish, but then dill going inside. Now the most important part is this lemon juice and lemon zest that we just zested and juiced it ourselves. So we had the clarified butter in there originally. Then we added the dill in there. We want to brighten all this up with the acid and the flavor of the lemon. I want to cook this down to get about half the liquid. You already see that it is reducing down. And this is going to be a very, very concentrated flavor of lemon and dill and butter. That's all I want. No extras, nothing there to like tone it down. I want that like really, really powerful flavor there. And you see, it's already basically cooked down to half. Now, what I mentioned earlier is most of the time we don't add in fresh herbs, but I did this time because I'm just going to cook it for a small amount and I'm adding some fresh herbs later. Now we're going to take it off the heat and let it cool down on the countertop, which is going to be a stone, and we're going to finish it. Okay, so using the same technique we've done in the past, I am making a butter sauce. I took it off of the heat. I want the pan to be cooler and basically be a little less hot so that my butter slowly melts down. What you're gonna see is that concentration that we just had with the butter added to it, it's gonna become thicker. So this butter is slowly melting in, and now this sauce is gonna be pretty much butter forward with all this amazing flavor, but also have that concentration of the dill that we cooked into it, plus that lemon juice and lemon zest. So as you can see, this has completely transformed right before your eyes. I did speed up the camera just because it takes a little bit of time, but in reality, it still will be less than 3 minutes. So it's super fast, but just for video purposes. You know, we're using a little bit of TV magic here, but everything is happening right in front of you. Okay, so my salmon is ready to go. Just gonna use my fish spatula. With 1, 2. I still have enough oil in the bottom of that pan to go ahead and make my pan sauce. All right, so now I have my sauce together. And this is a very loose sauce. I really like it because it's also great for a marinade. So for those of you that feel like salmon is just like a one note kind of thing, this is very saucy. And I feel like this recipe goes really well for me being in the South right now, because in Georgia, we love sauce, especially hot lemon pepper. So think about hot wings or wet lemon pepper. And this is kind of like that, like a wet lemon pepper sauce. Also, of course, a couple of the lemons and some fresh dill as well, just to wake up those taste buds. You have the sauteed dill in there, as well as the fresh dill. And here is your pan-seared salmon with a lemon butter dill sauce. Delicious, delectable, and always good time. All right, guys, thank you for joining me again. Welcome to the station or to the channel if this is your first time. If not, welcome back, and keep subscribing. keep posting, keep liking, and keep commenting. I forget to say commenting, but please comment below. Be nice. We're all a family here. Also, remember that you can buy the cookbook, Cooking Way Through Life, same title as the podcast, Cooking Way Through Life, that comes out on Thursday. Cookbook, Barnes & Noble, and Amazon.com. And then come back here every week for new recipes and tips, tricks, and a little bit more in-depth into my life. So thank you, and have a good day.
Cooking your way through life. Cooking your way through life.
For watching today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe even learned something. You know what to do next. Please hit those like, share, and subscribe buttons below and have a great day.